The assassination of right-wing activist and media figure Charlie Kirk is the latest horrific and contemptible act of an increasingly common pattern. But in the hours after Kirk's assassination, before a suspect was in custody, and as such without understanding a motive, President Donald Trump blamed, without evidence, radical left-wing violence.
Radical left political violence has hurt too many innocent people and taken too many lives.
In the days since, Republican lawmakers, from Senator Josh Hawley to Representative Anna Paulina Luna and Representative Derek Van Orden, have lashed out solely at the left. Elon Musk echoed the president's sentiment, tweeting, "The left is the party of murder." And on a live stream, InfoWars founder Alex Jones said,
"We're in a war. The left has been saying put a bullseye on Trump, a bullseye on his supporters."
But to blame the left alone for the increase in political violence is to neglect the vast amount of violence that has been done in the name of right-wing causes. In his address to the nation Wednesday night, Trump cited examples of radical left political violence, such as the attempts on his life last year, the murder of the United Healthcare CEO, and the 2017 shooting of House Majority Whip Steve Scalise and 3 other people. But only one of those acts, the shooting of Steve Scalise, was perpetrated by someone self-identifying as left-wing. The politics of the other perpetrators are murky. The would-be assassin whose bullet hit Trump's ear last year was registered as a Republican, donated $15 to a Democratic organization before he was old enough to vote, and published anti-Semitic and anti-immigration posts on social media. The man who murdered the United Healthcare CEO has been defined through his writings and social media posts as not fitting neatly into any single political group. He was guided by a personal ideology that included opposition to both corporate greed as well as identity politics and wokeness. And the man who staked out Trump's Florida golf club intending to kill him last year had a history of supporting both Democrats as well as Republicans like Nikki Haley and Vivek Ramaswamy. It is disingenuous to claim these people represent the left broadly. The blaming by Trump and his allies denies that the vast majority of violence perpetrated for political reasons has been committed by self-described right-wing individuals for decades. An analysis published by the Anti-Defamation League this year found that 2024 was the 3rd straight year where far-right extremists have been connected to all identified extremist-related killings. And a 2023 Reuters analysis of political attacks since the January 6th insurrection found that of the 14 where the suspect had a clear political leaning, 13 were right-wing assailants, and 1 was on the left. A 2020 analysis by the Center for Strategic and International Studies found that right-wing attacks and plots account for the majority of all terrorist incidents in the United States since 1994. Let's use Trump's same timeline, going back to 2017, to look at the acts of violence perpetrated by people who espouse rhetoric promoted by the far right. Just last month, a gunman killed a police officer while firing more than 180 shots at the Center for Disease Control and Prevention headquarters. Newspapers reported that the assailant's hope was to make public his discontent with the COVID-19 vaccine. Distrust and conspiracy theories about COVID-19 and the vaccine have been fomented by conservative leaders, including Trump, for years. In June of this year, Minnesota State Representative Melissa Hortman and her husband were assassinated by an anti-abortion activist and supporter of Donald Trump. The attacker also shot and wounded another Democratic state politician and his wife. In April, Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro's home was set on fire while Shapiro and his family were inside. The man who set the house on fire supported Trump in the 2024 election. In May of 2022, 10 people were killed and 3 more were injured in a mass shooting in a Buffalo, New York supermarket. In his manifesto, the assailant voiced support for the Great Replacement theory, a conspiracy of white genocide that has been promoted by right-wing figures such as Tucker Carlson, Steve Bannon, and Charlie Kirk.
The other side has openly admitted that this is about bringing in voters that they want and they like, and honestly diminishing and decreasing white demographics in America. We're going to say that part out loud.
In October 2022, former Democratic Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi's husband, Paul Pelosi, was attacked in his San Francisco home by a man with a hammer. The man had promoted far-right conspiracy theories on his blog. The most notable political attack is, of course, the January 6, 2021 insurrection on the U.S. Capitol. Incited by President Trump's false claims that the election was stolen by radical left Democrats.
All of us here today do not want to see our election victory stolen by emboldened radical left Democrats, which is what they're doing. We will never concede. It doesn't happen. You don't concede when there's theft involved.
Thousands of people stormed the Capitol, with between 2,000 and 2,500 actually entering the building. Pipe bombs were placed throughout Washington, D.C. Skirmishes with law enforcement injured 174 police officers. One officer died by stroke the day after, and 4 others who responded died by suicide in the months that followed. In the face of huge amounts of documented violence on January 6, Trump has repeatedly called it a day of love.
A small group went down to the Capitol. I tell you, there was a beauty to it and there was a love to it that I've never seen before.
On his first day back in office, President Trump pardoned nearly 1,600 people who were convicted of or awaiting trial for their participation in the insurrection. Looking back a little further, in August 2019, 23 people were killed and another 22 were shot at a Walmart in El Paso, Texas. The gunman's manifesto referenced far-right conspiracy theories like the Great Replacement theory, and echoed claims made by Trump and right-wing media figures warning of an invasion of Hispanic people into the country. In October of 2018, a fervent supporter of President Trump mailed 16 homemade bombs to prominent critics of the president, including former President Barack Obama, Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton, and Senator Cory Booker. And in August 2017, at the Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville, Virginia, a vehicle drove directly into a group of counter-protesters, killing 1 woman and injuring dozens more. An explicitly white supremacist rally organized by white nationalists, neo-Nazis, members of the Ku Klux Klan, and far-right militias, Trump drew significant criticism for saying,
You also had people that were very fine people on both sides.
outside the shooting of Steve Scalise and 3 others in 2017, examples of left-wing violence condemned by President Trump have been largely confined to non-fatal clashes between law enforcement and protesters during demonstrations, and between right-wing and left-wing activists on campuses. One fatal incident did occur in August 2020 during the George Floyd demonstrations in Portland, Oregon. A self-described anti-fascist activist shot and killed a supporter of the far-right group Patriot Prayer. President Trump has repeatedly referred to property damage and non-fatal clashes during protests as radical left violence and used them as a pretext to deploy the National Guard. This tactic was used recently to quell demonstrations in Los Angeles. But to equate these clashes between protesters as well as property damage with the scourge of violence done in the name of right-wing political ideology is both disingenuous and dangerous. As journalist Mehdi Hassan recently wrote, there is no equivalent or even similar list of Obama or Biden supporters who have carried out murders, attempted murders, or violent attacks against Republicans or conservatives in recent years. There's just no there there.